Well, greetings and welcome to our award ceremony. This has been a long tradition with IASTE to recognize some of the best scholarship that's presented at the conference or published in TDSR. We think the recognition is incredibly important. All of you have done amazing work in the papers that I've seen, which has been a minority of papers to be sure, but they've all been very good. The academic content, the rigor, the attention to the call for papers, the quality of the abstracts, the graphics in the presentations have all been good. So it's very difficult to pick the best sometimes, but that we must do. And that's what this session is about. But just a little bit at the top of the hour, what we're going to be doing is giving you the chance to break into 3 different social rooms. We've been having a few networking breaks between, we've had pretty good attendance in those, but the idea of the social room is to have smaller gatherings and get-togethers where you can share ideas and experiences. And what would really be great is if you could dig in your archives on your computers and find some of your favorite IASTE photos. Folks have been sending me some photos from many years ago, and then we'll let you share the screen and maybe share your favorite photo or two in an IASTE memory. Just a chance to step away from the academics of this and think about the social aspects. Certainly would be better if we were together with the wine or beer, but that cannot happen. So that'll be the top of the hour, 3 rooms that you can enter, and you can bounce between rooms for the social hour is fine as well. So that's what's going on, and then we'll discuss further at the end of this. Well, I'm very honored in my capacity as the IASTE president to spend a few moments to tell you about our awards program. The IASTE Awards program has been funded by distinguished members of the association through endowments and gifts, and it's a way to recognize some of the best scholarship that we see. We have 3 different awards that we'll be presenting. The first is the Jeffrey Cook Award for the best paper published in the journal Traditional Dwellings and Settlements Review. This has been one of our long-standing awards. The second paper is the Lifshitz Berkeley Prize for the best conference paper by a junior scholar or a graduate student. By the way, Anya Sarasmita, who has been helping with all the technical aspects of this conference, received that award when we were in Portugal while she was working on her PhD at the University of Washington, which she has since completed. So it's a recognition of an up-and-coming scholar. And then newly created this year, the Eleni Bestia Prize for Best Paper on an Urban Issue presented at the conference that will also be published in TDSR. So we have 3 awards we'll be presenting. I'm going to pass it off to Professor Nazar Al-Sayed, who chaired the awards program, and he'll discuss the history of each award in a little bit more detail. He'll introduce the jurors, and then he'll announce the recipients. Nazar?
Hisham, may I share my screen, please? Okay. Can you see my screen fully?
I can see you.
Yes.
But you are a co-host, so you can share.
Yeah, I just, okay, let me just do this.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mark. I have to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You may actually remember this was a famous statement that Jim Carrey made in a very famous American film, The Truman Show. I say that because we are in very different time zones, and I know that some of you, it's already 4 a.m. in the morning, and for others, it's actually already getting close to the evening. Thank you for coming to this special celebratory award ceremony, which we do virtually for the first time. In my capacity as the chair of the awards committee, I will explain each award, as Mark just mentioned, and introduce the jury members for it. Normally, what we would have is what you actually see at the bottom here, where basically the actual jurors would be there to present the awards themselves. We found it somewhat difficult this time because some of them are not even in the conference this year. The first award that we will present is the Jeffrey Cook Award for the best paper by a scholar published in the IASTE journal, Traditional Dwellings and Settlements Review. Jeffrey Cook was a distinguished professor of architecture at Arizona State University, was one of the few individuals who taught courses about sustainable design before the term was even coined. He was a very active member of this organization for many years, was present in its founding meeting, went on to attend every single one of its conferences until his untimely death in January of 2003. It was not really a total surprise when we later learned that he left a small endowment for IASTE to support its scholars. The award is given in recognition for exceptional scholarly contribution to the subject of traditional dwellings and settlements in a manner that challenges standard scholarship on the subject and engaged the built environment in an interdisciplinary perspective. I'm glad to see that 4 of the awards recipients are actually present in this conference. The jurors for this particular award this year were Professor Mui Ho of the University of California, Berkeley, and Professor Tanu Sankalia of the University of San Francisco. And David Moffett, the IASTE managing editor, also served as ex officio. The recipient for the Jeff Cook Award this cycle is Dr. Andrea Moneta of Nottingham University for his paper, Architecture, Heritage, and the Metaverse, New Approaches and Methods for the Digital Built Environment, which was actually presented yesterday. Congratulations, Professor Moneta. Our next award is a somewhat relatively new award. It's only been established for the past 2 cycles. It is the Ray Lifshay IASTE Berkeley Prize. It was established by Professor Lifshay of the University of California, Berkeley, and it recognizes the best paper by a student, a recent graduate, or a junior scholar submitted to the conference that deals with the professional dimension in the study of tradition in the contemporary built environment. The jurors for this cycle were Professor Joseph Godlowski of Syracuse University, a previous recipient of that award, and Dr. Anna Rosa Cavalcanti of Delft, also previous recipient of that award, as well as David Moffett, also the managing editor of the journal as ex officio. The recipients this year are actually 2 people, but for 1 paper that they presented, and they are Aurélien Catros and Maxime Leblanc from the University of Montreal and McGill University in Canada. Congratulations to both of you. I move finally to our last award, which is in a sense a sad occasion for some of us, but it's also an occasion to celebrate. This is the Eleni Bastea Prize for the best conference paper addressing an urban issue in a traditional setting to be published in TDSR. The award was established only last year by longtime IASTE member, Professor Mui Ho, in honor of her friend, the late Eleni Bastea, also a longtime IASTE member and professor of architectural history at the University of New Mexico, who passed away last year after a major illness. Bastea presented one of her first papers ever at the inaugural IASTE conference back in Berkeley in 1988, and then again in 1990. She went on to present papers in 92 and 96 as an assistant professor, and later even as an associate professor, before she became a keynote speaker at our conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in 2014. One can only say that she grew up with us as a scholar as IASTE developed into an interdisciplinary intellectual forum. Bastea was the author and editor of many books, including The Creation of Modern Athens, Planning the Myth, Athens, Neoclassical Planning, and the Greek National Consciousness, and finally, Memory and Architecture. She was a diligent researcher, a published poet, and a role model for many women faculty in the United States and beyond. She will be missed, and we are very grateful to Mui Ho for establishing this award in her name. The jurors for this award were Professor Clara Erazabal of the University of Maryland and Professor Ahmed Al-Kholi of Gulf University in the Arabian Gulf University in Bahrain, again with David Moffett serving as ex officio. The recipient of this award is Dr. Shweta Kandari of the School of Architecture, School of Planning and Architecture in Bhopal, India, for her paper, Continuity and Change and Adaptation, Understanding the Transformation of Ahmedabad's Fort in India. Like the two awards, the paper will also be published in an upcoming issue of the journal Traditional Dwellings and Settlements. Congratulations to all of the recipients. My role actually ends here, and I pass it back on to Mark and Hisham.
Well, actually, Nazar, your role does not end here.
Okay.
Because I would like just to take a few minutes and kind of get your opinion. You've been doing this for a while. What are some of the criteria that makes a paper rise to the level of best paper? What are some things that you've seen?
I think that's a very good question, and I, having been in charge of the awards for so many years now, since we started them almost 20 years ago, one of the things that we do is we constitute committees of faculty and of scholars, sometimes who are not necessarily, scholars, but rather professionals, who may know something about the intent of the award itself. Having run TDSR for such a long time, I was asked by another member of the association, Adnan Moshid, very recently. He was doing a survey, writing something for the Society of Architectural Historians, asking specifically this question, but he was asking another question, which is, how do you classify papers? Who do you send papers to for review? And he was making a comparison between some of these different journals in terms of how they do it. And I actually told him that one of the things that we do is we have a formula in TDSR. One of the things that we're interested in, we don't only publish things by architects. We don't publish things only by architectural historians. We don't publish things only on the Global South or the Global North. In fact, our formula, which if you go back and look at the 30 years of TDSR volumes, we try as much as possible to maintain both disciplinary diversity, and I cannot really say interdisciplinary here, because sometimes we actually have someone who's completely rooted in archaeology or in architectural history, but also in geography. So we never really have an issue that is purely North American or European, or North American and European. We don't ever have an issue that is completely the Global South. What makes a good paper is a paper that has basically that answers three questions. Again, as someone who taught for 35 years PhD students, I would say that the three questions are simply this: what are we going to learn from this paper that we do not know now? How are we going to learn it? And what difference does it make? When you think about it, it's about content and context. That's the first one. It's about method, the second one. And it's about contribution. At the end of the day, what is the essence of this very specific experience? I think if you actually look at what we normally, again, publish in TDSR, and I'm mainly talking about TDSR here, but I can talk about other journals, because I think in TDSR, we are also very conscious of the fact that younger scholars have not yet reached the point where their contribution is so substantial that it would change the field. We're very interested in younger scholars who are willing to eat out, if you will, or eat up the edges of a field, and at the same time, give us a base that would allow other scholars, senior scholars, to actually critique that work or even to build on it. I can definitely say that in my own career, I've benefited tremendously from even the section that we call field work. And the section that is called field work is a section where someone actually goes out in the field, documents something, something that no one else documented before, doesn't necessarily have a strong hypothesis, but the documentation in and of itself is a major contribution that can be used by others. So this is basically my take on what makes a good paper, at least for this very specific venue where most of our awards get published.
Well, that is very helpful. We have Professor Maneda is on as a panelist. And I'm wondering, Andrew, if you can tell us a little bit about your paper and why you think it made the cut.
You need to yes.
There we go.
Congratulations, Andrea.
Congratulations, yes.
We can't hear you.
Still not hearing you.
He's connecting to audio.
Yes, he is.
All right, sounds good.
Here we
And
go.
Maxime will be asking you too. Professor Moneta, please. Still trying.
Yeah.
All right, well, he's working that out. Maxime, you're on as a panelist. So you and Aurelian had a fantastic paper. So tell us a little bit about your paper and why you think it made the cut.
Can you guys hear me?
You can.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I don't know why Aurélien is not connected as a panelist, but he is here in the chat, so he could join at any moment. But
Okay, I'm gonna do this right now.
okay, but thank you so much. It's really, we're really honored to get the award, and it was our first co-authored paper that we did together, and we're super proud to be able to share it with you guys, and that it got that you guys enjoyed it. We actually spent a lot of time on it, so I think that's part of the reason I think that it maybe made the cut. We met for multiple weeks. We were always playing devil's advocate and trying to always better the paper with every single meeting. So I think there was something in there that people enjoyed. I don't know if you guys want me to like summarize it or something.
Yeah, give us the elevator speech. When Boston isn't Boston.
Yes.
Useful
Yes.
Lives of Reconstructive Game Models. That's a great title.
Thank you. Yeah.
So before Maxine or Aurelian actually join in, let me just say that part of the reason that I think the jury reacted very positively to this particular paper, which already appeared, by the way, in TDSR because of the lag of time that we've had with the conference, had to do with the fact that it is one of the most innovative papers that we've received this conference. It's also one of the papers that did an excellent job of relating to the theme. This is, they can explain when Boston is not Boston, because this has really, in a sense, a lot to do with Boston and nothing to do with Boston simultaneously. So, Maxime.
Yeah. Well, Aurélien, I'll let you go afterwards as well. But yeah, so just the quick elevator pitch, we were looking at reconstructive game models, and we essentially compared from a video game, Assassin's Creed 3, how Boston was perceived. And we tried to compare its verisimilitude with how Boston was actually in 1775. So we used a few methodologies. We used the quantitative QCA, quantitative comparative analysis from Charles Reagan. And we used Kevin Lynch's theories of city imaginability as well as our criteria to be able to compare both of those, the real Boston of the time and the virtual Boston that was portrayed in the game. So that's kind of what, I don't know if Aurélien, you want to add something?
Yeah, I can add something. So first, thank you very much for this honor. And if I would add something to the elevator pitch about our article is we always in architecture, in the field of architecture, we have really a lot of theories, and some good ones, I mean. And our struggle was, okay, now how to use it to compare something and to learn something from our environment and our cultural production. And I think that's what we try to do. Of course, it's not yet perfect, but we're going to continue with Maxime, because more than just a team, is we also became friends, and I think it's a good way to do some research. And even if we are not doing our respective PhD in the same university, we keep working together, and I think that's a way also to develop some networks and yeah, make the research wider. So.
Well, congratulations, well-deserved honor. It's a wonderful paper, and it's great to see collaboration working so well. Fantastic, thanks. I hope to see you at our next conference. We'll be announcing where that will be tomorrow at the closing session. And Andrea, do you have your audio?
Yes.
Yes, finally, I had to change. I was with the iPad, for some reason was not working. Thank you very much for this award. I was a little bit speechless and really shocked, because You know, I just watched so many interesting papers during these days, and the quality is so high. So it's really an honor for me to be awarded, and within all these academics and practitioners, and also because it's a paper that wants to put a bridge between the digital and the real. In some way, we left the digital to people that not trained to be architects, and architecture in the last 40, 50 years has lost a little bit of direction. So in some way, the digital world is a way to re-establish the role of the architecture and the architect. And this bridge is made by heritage. Without heritage, there is no future. Without history, there is no future. And that means that we need to learn from the past if we want to have a better future. And the digital built environment is a place to be explored, but also to, can I say, to fill with history, even if it's just a reproduction of the old past. But that is something that I definitely think as a way to go forward into this direction.
Mhm. Well, fantastic. I see we have David Moffat on, who served ex officio. David, I know you're at a cabin in the Adirondacks, but do you have anything you'd like to add? You've seen a lot of these papers, and we have some great ones here.
Well, I mean, I would say something that you know, I would say at any event, which is, in addition to obviously scholarship, which is something that is apparent to most of the jurors right off the top. You know, it's apparent, you know, who knows their field, who's done their research. You know, is this something that is contributes to the field, but it's also does it tell a story? Is there a clear you know, premise? Is it demonstrated? And you know, how well is the significance of the paper expressed to the reader? Because oftentimes, you know, in our field, which is very diverse, you're reading papers that you really don't have much firsthand knowledge with. But if they tell a really good story and they have some import, then you become curious and you want to find more out about it. And so in addition to you know, obviously being competent and having done your work, and it's the presentation and the ability to you know, to speak to a person who is perhaps not as fluent in your particular area of expertise as you are.
Mm-hmm. Well, David, thanks for so many years of service and really leading TDSR. Tremendous.
Yeah, I can say that I'm the person who's probably read absolutely everything that was submitted to this conference. And it's always a pleasure to do it. And you know, I look forward to doing it some more in the future.
Well, great. And there will be many more in the future. I don't see any questions in the Q&A. If anybody has questions, please put them in. Here we have a couple more minutes left. Nazar,
Mark, just let me, if I had not mentioned this, the awards actually carry with them a monetary stipend. So we will be actually getting in touch with all four of you. This time, all four of you happen to be international. That poses a problem for us when we issue monetary stipends, but we will work it out. So you will probably hear from Hisham or myself about how to manage that.